What do you do for a living? I'm not talking about your fancy job title or the tasks that fill your day. I'm talking about what you actually do. What do you create? What do you improve? What's your contribution to the world? For some, this is an easy question. But if you're a middle manager in human resources at an insurance company, well, it might get a little tricky. Over the last century, service jobs have exploded. We've gone from a quarter of all jobs to a whopping 80%. Think service, and you picture baristas, retail workers, bellhops. They might provide luxuries, but there's value there. A good cup of coffee, a perfect outfit, luggage delivered right to your room. But the service sector is massive. It's everyone from call center reps to CEOs. Finding a job outside this sector is tough unless you've got special certifications. That's important, remember it. This service sector growth has led to a rise in pointless jobs. You know, jobs that don't really contribute anything meaningful. You'd think the free market would eliminate these, right? Companies with useless employees would fail, efficient ones would thrive. Nope. To understand why, we need to look at how money works in today's world, and how it perpetuates the existence of people whose main job is justifying their own existence. And to understand that, we need to take a trip back in time to Soviet communism. The Soviet Union was all about noble labor. Work was honorable, dignified. Soviet basically means workers' council. People were proud of their work above all else. But this created problems when there wasn't enough actual work to go around. The obsession with full employment meant some people got pointless tasks. Factory managers hired everyone they could, afraid they wouldn't find workers later if they didn't. This worker hoarding led to jobs like counting endless piles of nuts and bolts. Now, the modern Western world is different from 1950s Russia, but there are some uncomfortable similarities. The idea of pointless jobs really took off with anthropologist David Graeber's book, Bullshit Jobs. He outlined 5 types. First, the flunkies. Doormen, receptionists, assistants. They exist to make others feel important and could easily be replaced by technology, if needed at all. Second, the duct tapers. They fix problems that should be solved permanently. Like an inventory manager manually updating stock levels when it could be automated. Graeber tells a story of a duct taper fixing a brilliant statistician's constant errors. The statistician was incompetent, and the duct taper had to fight bureaucracy to prevent damage. The point? Sometimes, the solution isn't firing the pointless job person. It's removing the obstacles that make their job necessary in the first place. Third, the box tickers. Mindless drones in big companies, there to make the company look legitimate. Think internal newsletters no one reads, or party planning committees. Without these, a company might seem small time, not worth working for or doing business with. Fourth, the goons. Jobs that actually harm society, but are necessary because they exist. In-house corporate lawyers are a classic example. They don't produce anything, but without them, you'll pay a fortune fighting lawsuits from companies that do have them. Patent trolls are another example. They buy companies with broad patents, then sue others hoping for settlements. Even giants like Apple play this game. Remember when Apple sued Samsung over a rectangular phone with rounded corners? Think of the thousands whose job it was to enforce that ruling. What value did they create? Finally, the worst of the worst. The taskmasters. People who manage those who don't need managing. Effective management exists, but a sales manager lording over people with the same job title is something else. At best, they're overpaid cheerleaders. At worst, they're distractions, justifying their existence with pointless meetings and strategic mission statements that pull people away from meaningful work. These roles aren't mutually exclusive. Some jobs combine all five. Many middle managers oversee pointless departments, their jobs existing solely because a complex hierarchy makes executives feel important. So, how did we get here? The Soviets created pointless jobs due to their obsession with full employment and the glorification of labor. Capitalism is supposed to be better, right? Well, kind of. But we're still victims of bureaucracy. Companies would benefit from cutting bull jobs, but the incentives aren't always aligned with the decision makers. Middle managers hoard staff to seem important, just like Soviet factory workers did. LinkedIn is filled with self-congratulatory posts about meaningless achievements, mirroring Soviet propaganda about labor. And just like the Soviets were obsessed with everyone working, even if it meant making up jobs, modern workplaces are obsessed with 40-hour weeks, even if it means inventing tasks. And then there's bureaucracy itself. The US doesn't have a truly free market. There are rules for everything. Want to build a factory? You need permits, insurance, the right zoning. Every step involves institutions filled with their own pointless jobs. This isn't about big versus small government. Some policies are crucial, some are bull. But companies play a role too. Lobbying has led to more and more legislation, making business success almost impossible without accountants and lawyers to navigate it all. You could argue this benefits big corporations, making it harder for competition. But we're not here to point fingers. So, is there a solution? As a society? Embrace the idea that it's okay not to work 40 hours a week. Most jobs have some bull mixed in. If we could say, "My work is done, I'm done for the day," it would be easier to spot those contributing nothing. As an individual? Not really. If you're stuck in a pointless job, you might have to grin and bear it, or maybe work on a side hustle in your free time. Or, embrace it. Lots of people are proud of their meaningless but important sounding titles. Maybe knowing it's all bull makes those pointless meetings and presentations a little easier to stomach. Need to keep your screen looking busy? Sign up for our free email newsletter. Don't forget to like, subscribe and get notifications for more money mindset makeover content.